The phenomenon of dreams is a mysterious one. We all presumably leave this plane of reality every night into another plane of possibility and potential that is outlined and facilitated by our brain. Humans have paid attention to sleep throughout history, but of particular interest is the attention paid to the phenomenon referred to as lucid dreaming. Attention to this occurrence has held prevalence in several philosophies and groups of people throughout human history. Mota Rolam speaks to this in his study, The Dream of God, How Do Religion and Science See Lucid Dreaming and Other Conscious States During Sleep, and acknowledges how the idea of lucid dreaming is ancient. For example, Hinduism has texts dating back up to 2,000 years differentiating normal deep sleep and conscious awake sleep. Tibetan Buddhism entertains practices that attempt to help the dreamer recognize that they're dreaming and use that awareness to further their practices. Islamic scriptures also mention lucid dreaming and its ability to aid the dreamer to reach mystical experiences, and Christian theologians, namely Augustine of Hippo, have regarded lucid dreaming as a potential lens into the afterlife. All this is to say that the concept of lucid dreaming and attention to its ability to foster spiritual growth has appeared remotely and independently of each other in the largest philosophies and religions that humanity has known. Here we see the historic connection between spiritual philosophies and the act of lucid dreaming. But why is this important? We can look at the philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche and his book Thus Spoke Zarathustra, where the famous line God is dead is from. Through the story, Nietzsche points to the departure of traditional religious beliefs, new scientific advancements, and a shifting cultural landscape as a central cause for the moral vacuum and global nihilism that seem to be manifesting itself in society. Nietzsche argued that without a shared belief in transcendent values, individuals might face a crisis of meaning and purpose. In Jahangir's paper, A Sociological Study of Nihilism, a case study, showcased that there was a direct correlation with nihilism and the lack of religious/spiritual practice. In Canada, statistics showcased that religious affiliation fell from 90% in 1985 to 68% in 2019, and the number of people who attended a group religious activity fell from 43% to 23% over the same period. Lucid dreaming as a scientific term was created in 1913 by Frederick van Eden. Although the validity of lucid dreaming was put to the test during the 20th century, when objectifiable means of identifying this phenomenon were proposed, this began to change. For example, in Dement Wolpert's 1958 study on the relation of eye movements and external stimuli to dream content, it was shown that lucid dreamers were able to repeat a previously agreed upon eye movement during their lucid dream, giving some sort of objective and replicable form of identifying lucidity. In more contemporary research, due to the lack of studies with large sample sizes, the current findings regarding the physiological components of lucid dreaming are hard to generalize. Separate EEG studies report different changes in the lucid dreamer's electrical brain activity, and neuroimaging data on lucid dreaming is sparse and hard to correlate. Despite the lack of direct physiological correlates to lucid dreaming, the ability to create subjective impact is a more promising endeavor of study. In fact, there has been contemporary research as to the link between lucid dreaming and spirituality, focusing particularly on its ability to enhance one's own spiritual practices. In Ted Esser's 2013 paper, Lucid Dreaming, Kundalini, the Divine and Non-Duality, a Transpersonal Narrative Study, he examines exactly this quality through the process of inviting Kundalini while lucid dreaming. Kundalini is a Hindu notion of feminine energy that refers to a supposed coiled and contained energy at the base of the spine. The act of awakening Kundalini releases this energy into the body and is said to lead to spiritual liberation. Esser draws the ties between this notion of spiritual energy and notions such as prana from Hinduism, chi from Taoism, the Holy Spirit from Christianity, and lung from Vajrayana Buddhism. The results from Esser's study showed that practicing a Kundalini meditation while inside a lucid dream led to a more refined and heightened sense of spiritual connection for the participants, and there seemed to be a subjective tie of encountering Kundalini with a lesson serving to heal the dreamer in some transpersonal sense. Esser's study provided a somewhat specific avenue for spiritual practice through lucidity with Kundalini as the main focus, but in Fariba Bogzaran's 1991 study, Experiencing the Divine in the Lucid Dream State, which was the predecessor to Esser's study, she showed that this could also be applied in a more general sense to spiritual practices, as she used a larger sample size of people who were coming from different spiritual levels, where some people who did not consider themselves spiritual still experienced some form of spiritual growth. There is also Taras Stumbri's paper, The Luminous Night of the Soul, the relationship between lucid dreaming and spirituality, that showcased through surveys with 471 participants that having recurrent lucid dreams and mystical experiences in them may foster spiritual growth, rendering lucid dreaming possibly a viable spiritual practice, especially within the secular context. As a conclusion, here is a way to practice this for yourself. Esser and Bogzaran provide a simple technique to attempt to induce lucidity while asleep. Before going to sleep, focus on clearing your mind of thoughts and meditate on the desire to achieve lucidity. If successful, you further the meditation to peacefully invite a spiritual experience to occur to you. This can come in any form that suits your beliefs. And as long as you keep your attention on the present moment of experience and let that attention uncloud the fog of subject-object duality, as in the sense of you versus the other in the world, the ability to transcend in some sense becomes possible.